Please call to order. Please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start the meeting, we're going to have a swearing. Anna Hernandez is going to be sworn in as Vice Chair by Jeanette Citron.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ana Hernandez, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a vice chair of the school committee according to the best of my abilities and understanding agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth, the Charter and the ordinances of the City of Chelsea. So help me God.
Thank you.
Hey, Rosemary, you want to accept the minutes? School committee minutes, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 7, 2019, public hearings of March 14, 2019, regular meeting of March 28, 2019, and special meeting of April 8, 2019.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the March 14th meeting.
Second. Meetings are accepted. Next on our list is the presentations, special presentations of certificates, and Dr. Bork will make those presentations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to stand up for the presentations. And what I would like is when you hear your name called, if you would come up and stand here in the middle of this lovely half circle and face the audience, because the camera for the community at Community Cable is actually facing down on you. All right? So first, Stephanie Simon, would you come forward? Right there? Yep. So Stephanie Simon, you have made us extremely proud in the city of Chelsea. So for her outstanding achievements in track and field at the state meet, Stephanie placed 5th in the high jump, 3rd in the 55-meter, and 1st in the long jump. At the all-state meet, Stephanie placed 2nd in the long jump and competed in the 55-meter. At the New England Regionals, Stephanie placed 3rd in the long jump. At the Nationals, Stephanie placed 4th in the triple jump and 1st in the long jump. Stephanie was 10th overall in the nation for the long jump at 18 feet, 10 3/4 inches. And we're exhausted just reading this. So with this, Stephanie, we present you with the certificate of recognition. All right. Just as proud are the following students, who I will call up one by one, and you will stand and you will face the audience and certainly the camera. And it is for your hard work and academic excellence in advanced placement courses and the assessments that you are receiving this award. So, Sayara Romero.
I just call it Sarah.
For your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognized Sarah with an AP Scholar Award. This award is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more advanced placement exams. And for that, we present you the certificate of recognition. Marcella Castillo. For your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognized Marcella with an AP Scholar Award. This award is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more advanced placement exams. So, congratulations. Gabriella Gabriel. Gabriella? No? Okay. Chandler Shippey. Nope. We'll make sure that they receive it. Didi Hernandez. Didi Hernandez. For your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognizes Didi with an Advanced Placement Scholar with Honor Award. This award is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.25 on all advanced placement exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. You are unbelievable.
Congratulations, Didi.
Another remarkable scholar from Chelsea High School, Thieu Nguyen. Nope. Oh, someone we know very well, Jose Manuel Palacios Tesh. All right, for your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognized Jose Manuel with an Advanced Placement Scholar with Honor Award. This award is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.25 on all advanced placement exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. Congratulations. Guadalupe Romero Celaya. For your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognized Guadalupe with an Advanced Placement Scholar with Honor Award. This award is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.25 on all advanced placement exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. Wonderful. Did I miss any students? Is G2 here? Oh, G2, you're here. We didn't see you come in. Come on up. G2, I hope I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Deguffa. Okay. I apologize. That's okay, they mispronounced my name even after 30 plus years here. For your hard work and commitment to academic excellence, the College Board recognizes Gitu with an Advanced Placement Scholar Award. This award is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more advanced placement exams. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So behind every single student is a whole group of unbelievable teachers. And one in particular is being honored here this evening. So I'd like to ask William J. Kirby to come forward. So before we get started, we're going to embarrass him a little bit. I do want to recognize his brother Pete is in the audience, who looks exactly like him, and his mom, Anna. So thank you so much for giving us your son all these years as an educator. So Mr. Kirby has been a teacher at Chelsea High School since August 27th, 2001. He was hired as an English journalism teacher. He has been a mentor for the last few years of new teachers. He received his Bachelor's of Arts from the University of Virginia, Charlottesville. Should I name the year? No. Doctorate of Jurisprudence, I won't say the year, from Vanderbilt University Law School. Master's in Law from the University of Washington in June 1990. Oh, I did name the, yeah, so. I actually never knew that you had a JD. So I learned something, after all these years. But I do want to say, on a personal note, Mr. Kirby is a valued and honored colleague. He is someone that he is so highly respected by students, by our teachers, by our staff. For me, he has been a level and highly respected voice among his colleagues and at Chelsea High School. And throughout my superintendency, he has always been someone, when he spoke, I listened. I will also say the first 2 years I became superintendent, he actually was on my transition committee. So for all of that dedication and support and help for getting me on my way, I thank you very much. With that, William J. Kirby, we know you as Jay, for his exceptional contributions to student success, to his students, and his impact on student achievement in the Advanced Placement English program. Mass Insight Education and Research has named Mr. Kirby a 2019 Partner in Excellence Teacher Award recipient. And Mr. Kirby, your legacy is every generation that has come through your classroom. So thank you so much.
Okay, before we move on to public speaking, I'd like to recognize our state rep, Dan Ryan, who's here tonight. Hi, Dan.
Do you have a presentation, Mr. Ryan?
Sure, if you want to.
Absolutely.
Sit right here. Sit right here.
This is nice up here. I'm usually out there on the wooden chairs. You guys are doing all right here. I just want to stop by. So last week, I was invited up over to Chelsea for the induction of our National Honor Society winners. The House of Representatives last week, we were in our budget sessions, working on important things like school funding, so I wasn't able to make it. But I just wanted to recognize the National Honor Society as a whole and our students who were awarded tonight. And I just wanted to say, as we were in the budget last week, Dr. Burke is the premier leader in our state in fighting for better funding for our urban schools. We're going to have... We will have changes either this year or next year to our funding formula. It will happen. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it will happen. This past budget that we did last week had the most money for charter school reimbursement. That's money that goes directly into our cities and towns. No matter how you feel about charter schools, They are here. What the reimbursement does, it just funds our municipalities for what they have to pay out to charter schools. So that money will be coming back to the cities and towns. Again, it's not 100% like promised, but it's getting there. And we also did some other, I don't have it off the top of my head, but we increased, we're making the steps. But the important part I wanted to make is the debates that we're having on the budget up there, it's not like it was 25 years ago when we started funding formulas and when people were saying we're wasting our time and our money on public schools. It's not worth it, because that was the argument. And the argument today is it is working. We're turning our schools around. And the argument now is how much? How much can we fund it? How much can we sustain? How much should the urban schools get as opposed to the suburban schools? So the old arguments of the past, it's a credit to the students that are here tonight. It's a credit to the school committee in cities like Chelsea that we've turned that argument around. And every time I go into the State House and we see the Chelsea band or the chorus introducing a Republican governor nonetheless, or we see Dr. Burke or Chief Kaz in the State House as leaders statewide and nationally on these issues. That's why I'm really here, is to let folks here know that your voice is heard, even though it's only a Tobin Bridge away. Sometimes it feels like a million miles, but there always seems to be somebody from Chelsea in the halls over there yelling and screaming to get what we need back to our city. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate all your work, and thank you to the school committee. So I just wanted to have this, I need my cheetahs, hold on. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Chelsea High School National Honor Society. Your hard work and exemplary dedication, you are a credit to the Chelsea High School community and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses hope for future fortune, given this second day of May 2019. So again, I just want to thank the students here from Chelsea for really being an example statewide and for making my job easier. It's not hard to go and argue on behalf of Chelsea schools when you guys are doing such a great job here. Thank you.
Thank you. With Ms. Asher. Ms. Asher, would you come forward to receive this?
Yeah, we'll take a picture with all the school committee members with Dan. You want to?
Give it to Ms. Asher. She's the National Honor Society.
No, I don't blame you. You're not going to be here next year. Neither am I. Okay, move on to
You
public
need a
speaking.
motion to, a motion to go back into session?
Can somebody make a motion to go back into session? Second, okay. Next on the agenda is public speaking. If anybody wants to go up there and public speak, you have to state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Jovel. I reside at 141 Orange Street.
My name is Brianna Maldonado. I reside at 37 Murray Street.
Before we begin, we would like the chance to say thank you to the school committee for listening to the voices of the students over at Chelsea High School. As you may be aware, the budget for 2020 caused a lot of reactions from both faculty and students across the district, ranging from personal experiences to constructive criticism. The advocacy we were a part of was truly a life-changing experience. Watching the attendance of school committee meetings increase as a result of this advocacy from both students and faculty allowed us to do something amazing. We were able to save the French department over at Chelsea High School.
As you all may know, it became a very emotional time for all of us, especially students and teachers who were fighting to keep our places and our voices heard within the school. So in our AP US History class, we're actually working on an advocacy project, and our specific team is called the Teacher Turnover Advocacy Project. And as we've been attending all of these meetings, including the budget and school board meetings, we've noticed many patterns. And in my hand, I have actually a summary of these patterns that we've noticed throughout the times that we've been attending both City Hall and at the William, the meetings that we've seen there. And I guess most of them touch base on communication, transparency, as well as coming together as a one unit to fight against the inflexibility that we see within our legislators at the State House. So we're going to hand this to you guys later, but once again, we would like to thank our representatives, especially our student reps, who really have shown that they can step up to the plate and represent what we stand for and what we believe in. And we're also excited to participate on the event on the 16th of May at the State House, where we hope to get the support of many students who are going to be there to advocate for what we believe in, which is having more funding for public schools like Chelsea High and basically the entire district. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? No, I'm going to close the speaking portion. Okay, public speaking is now closed. Next on the agenda, we have the superintendent report of the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to call forward Assistant Superintendent Sarah Kent for the report on student achievement.
Good evening. You should all have a copy of the April Indicators of Success. Tonight we're going to be talking about our monthly indicators, our quarterly indicators, as well as our mobility and high school grades. If we could start on page 3 and talk about attendance. This month we made our goal of 95% attendance in grades 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we were extremely close in grades 2 and 7. Overall, we are 0.2, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but we've been working hard. We are 0.2% higher as a district than we were at this time last year, year to date. And in 11 out of 14 grades, we have 14 because we have K and pre-K, we are higher than we were last year. Like incrementally higher, but at least we're moving in the right direction. And so far, year to date, we are meeting our goal in grades 3, 4, and 5, and we're really close in 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8. If you could turn to page 4, our third quarter grades for 4th grade, we are well below our target. However, we have increased from last year at this time by 5 to 7 points in writing, math, and science. And reading is actually exactly equivalent to where we were last year, which is strange, but true. If you turn to page 5, you can see 8th grade. And in 8th grade, we have stayed pretty equal to where we were in quarter 2, or had a slight decline in 2 subjects. If you turn to page 6, where we talk about our dropouts, we are a full 1% less than we were at this time last year, which is very significant to have a 1% difference from the year before. As you can see, our goal is to have a 2% decrease each year, so we are halfway there. We have 23 less students that have dropped out this year than last year at this time, with a total of 78. This last month, we have had 11 students drop out. As you can see in the chart at the bottom of the page, we are doing very well in dropout with our regular education students and our students with disabilities, yet we still struggle with our Ls. If you could turn to page 7, you can see the detail of the 11 students who dropped out this month. 6 of them were Ls and 4 were regular ed. 8 of them were to plans unknown, meaning that they dropped out and we were unable to contact them or communicate with them about what they were up to. You will also see that they were all from either the 10th grade or 11th grade. If you can turn to page 9, this is our mobility. You will see that over the year so far, 1,245 kids have either come or gone this year, which is a 20%, which is that footnote under the first table. The reason I point that out is because that is already 1.65% higher than at the end of last year. So we are having a very mobile year. And if you can turn to page 10, the last page, this is our third quarter grades for the Chelsea High 9th and 10th graders. You will see that 37.3% of kids have failed at least one course in grade 9. You'll see in looking at the numbers, though, that half of the children who have failed a course have failed one course, which is recuperable, and we are 15 percentage points lower than at this time last year, which is significant. Finally, in 10th grade, you'll see that we are at about equivalent to where we were in quarter 2 at 40%, and about half again are only failing one course. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, but that concludes my report.
Are there any questions? No, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, moving on, I commend to the record the enclosure B, which is the personnel update. We had this month 9 new hires, 8 resignations, retirements, and terminations. I also commend to the record enclosure C, which is our enrollment report. We have in-district 6,122 students. We have out-of-district placement 181 students, for a total enrollment of 6,303 students. Moving on to communications. I want to call out some important dates. The school year is winding down very fast. I think we're down to only 30 school days left. And this time of year, there are many night meetings or night celebrations to participate in. The first, of course, at Chelsea High School, May 6th to May 17th, we have the advanced placement exams going on. On Monday, May 6th, as well as the Monday, May 6th, is the finalist interview for the superintendent position, Anthony Parker, at 5 o'clock in the council chambers. And I call out that 5 o'clock time because that's different than the other 2 nights. Tuesday, May 7th, we have superintendent finalist Lahia Noriega Murphy at 6 p.m., again here in the chambers. And then on Wednesday night, we have superintendent finalists, the interview of Almi Abieta at 6 p.m. So again, it's Monday night is at 5, and then Tuesday, Wednesday is they're both at 6. Also, Thursday, May 9th, there is a special school committee meeting here at 6 o'clock for the vote on the candidates. Thursday, I'm actually going to move to the MCAS. Tuesday, May 21st to May 22nd, those are late arrival days at Chelsea High School for students due to MCAS testing. May 22nd, we have a spring concert at the Sokolowski Building. Would love to see people there, 9:30 to 10:30. Wednesday, May 22nd, there's also the spring concert at the Clark Avenue School in the evening at 6 o'clock. We have Monday, May 27th is a no-school day. It is the Memorial Day celebration. The parade will begin at 8:15 at Welsh's Funeral Home on Broadway, and then the ceremony and activities will take place on the City Hall front lawn. We also have awards night for the Pathways recognition on May 28th at 6 p.m. in the Chelsea High Auditorium. We have the middle school spring concert at 6 p.m. on May 29th. We have the seniors' last day and field day and senior video, which will take place Friday, May 31st. Friday, May 31st at 6 o'clock, we will also have the Arts Night Out at Chelsea High Cafeteria in Auditorium. We have Tuesday, June 4th, the Berkowitz Spring Concert at 9 a.m. Tuesday, June 4th, in the evening at 6 o'clock, we have Senior Awards Night. Wednesday, June 5th, we have the Hook School Spring Concert at 6 p.m. We have a school committee meeting on Thursday, June 6th, and then, of course, culminating with Sunday, June 9th, for you, is the Chelsea High School graduation at 1 p.m. Chelsea High School field. So you can see from this point in the school year moving forward, basically the school department personnel don't go home at night. So with that, I ask that you also reference the school committee meetings and put the schedule into your calendars. The new schedule is for the 2019-2020 school year. It also has the schedule for the school committee retreats as well as the subcommittee meetings. And, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay, the committee reports, yes?
I second it.
They're all accepted, thank you. On to the next thing, unfinished business. We don't have any. And now we're on to new business.
The student report.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Good.
This past Friday, the performing arts, so percussion ensemble, Cantare Choir Band, had the opportunity to compete with all of their performances. Percussion ensemble placed first. They had the highest score out of everyone, scoring a 98 out of 100. Choir placed second, Cantare placed third, and band placed fourth. Tomorrow is going to be a day of silence to support the LGBTQ community at Chelsea High School. Like Dr. Burke already stated, Arts Night Out is on May 31st, starting at 6. That'll feature visual art as well as performing art. Prom is May 18th, and then the band is performing on Memorial Day at 9 outside on the lawn of City Hall. That's it.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm safe to move on. All right. On the new business, Ms. Enriquez moves to accept $10,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Leading Educational Access Project, DCP Initiative Grant. Explanation: this grant is to help educators build the knowledge and skills in building inclusive environments and delivering cultural responsive instruction. The grant funds will be used for stipends, for professional development, and other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A, provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purpose only with approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $10,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Leading Educational Access Project DCP Incentive Grant, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 7 in the affirmative and 2 absent. The motion carries.
On to the next one. Ms. Enriquez moves to accept $7,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Early Childhood Special Education Discretionary Federal Program Improvement Grant. Explanation: the purpose of this federal discretionary grant program is to support preschool activities for eligible children with disabilities who are 3 to 5 years of age. The grant funds will be used to purchase non-instructional materials to further develop a space within the Early Learning Center where students can practice the skills being taught in the classroom, including social awareness, self-awareness, self-management, decision-making, and relationship building, as well as other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purpose only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $7,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Early Childhood Special Education Discretionary Federal Program Improvement Grant, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 7 in the affirmative and 2 absent. The motion carries.
Okay. On to the next one. Ms. Enrique moves to accept $1,000 from Boston Foundation to support the English Language Arts Department at Chelsea High School. Explanation: the Boston Foundation has provided a grant to allow Chelsea High School students to see the play Animal Farm during spring of 2019, held in the high school auditorium. The grant funds will be used for contract services and other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purpose only with approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call?
Do you want me to call him for this one or wait?
No, call them for the next one, please.
Ms. Hernandez, on the motion to accept $1,000 from the Boston Foundation to support the English Language Arts Department at Chelsea High School. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 7 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
On to the next. Ms. Enriquez moves to accept increases in the awarded allocations for the below-listed federal grants for SY 2018/2019. Explanation: Chelsea Public Schools are eligible for certain federal grants available to provide support in supplemental services for certain school populations. This spring, DESE issued final allocations that incorporated all required adjustments to initial allocations, resulting in a collective increase of $59,231. You want me to read all this or no?
Yeah, you better.
Okay.
Just
Title-
read Title 1.
Yeah. Title I, increase, 4,482. Title IIA, 2,869. IDEA, 41,657. Early Childhood Special Education, 223. Mass Grant Proposing Practices, 10,000. Funding is provided for the cost of staff, fringe benefits, professional development, contractual services, and grant specific school activities, supplies, materials, and technology as described above. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Would you like me to call him where Julio used to vote?
Yes.
On the motion to accept increases in the awarded allocations for the listed grants totaling $59,231 for school year 2018-2019. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Ms. Enrique moves to accept $10,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the High Quality Instruction Summer Planning Grant. Explanation: this competitive grant program provides districts with funding to help teachers deepen their understanding and implementation of high-quality instructional materials, methodologies, and programs. Funding will be used for teacher pay, for time spent working on curriculum alignment of history, math for foundational ELS, and general math in the middle schools, and for professional development on implementation of curriculum units in middle school mathematics. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $10,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the High Quality Instruction Summer Planning Grant, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Mr. Enrique moves to accept $110,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Improving Student Access of Behavioral and Mental Health Services Grant. Explanation. This competitive state-funded grant program is designed to improve student behavioral and mental health outcomes. The grant funds will be used to partner with a local community-based organization for embedded school-based clinicians to provide individual counseling, group counseling, substance abuse intervention, and related services for students, for stipends, for collaboration among support staff members, contracted services for training for teachers and support staff, and supplies, materials, travel expenses, and other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $110,000 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Improving Student Access to Behavioral and Mental Health Services Grant, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
On to the next. Ms. Enrique moves to accept $164,860 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Puerto Rico U.S. Virgin Islands Hurricane Relief Grant. Explanation. DESE will be continuing funding for districts serving students displaced from Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands displaced by the fall 2017 hurricanes into FY year 2020. The grant funds will be used in support of ELL and special education costs, including but not limited to all ELL special education teacher, paraprofessionals, associated health insurance benefits, and other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $164,860 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the Puerto Rico U.S. Virgin Islands Hurricane Relief Grant, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes. Sorry.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Ms. Enrique moves to accept $282,786 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the FY19 Teacher Diversification Pilot Program Grant. An explanation. The Competitive Teacher Diversification Pilot Program is designed to support local school district efforts to strengthen and diversify teacher recruitment and retention programs. The grant will be used to fund financial assistance to paraprofessionals with bachelor's degrees, provisional licensed teachers, and Chelsea graduates and bachelor's degrees. Practicum fellows, financial support to 2 Chelsea High School students who will work in the district upon graduation from college. Student loan payment reimbursement to up to 3 former students who are hired to teach in the district by the end of the 2018-2019 school year, and other expenses of support of the program. Recipients will be expected to make a 2-year commitment to stay with their district. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Before that, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask Executive Director of Administration and Finance for a commentary on this explanation.
Mr. Chairman and members of the school committee, I'm Monica Lamboy, Executive Director of Administration and Finance. I wanted to stand up and to really highlight the effort put into this program and what it offers the Chelsea schools. Linda Bro, Deputy Superintendent, and Adam Goodstone from Chelsea High School competed among many other communities, many other school districts in the state for this funding, and it's a substantial number at $282,000, especially in a year where it's a difficult financial year. This will allow us to really engage in a lot of targeted efforts to increase diversity among our teaching staff. We know that a lot of our students coming out of schools with high debt levels perhaps don't have the funding to pursue licenses. This is really going to give us some important tools to help identify paraprofessionals who we happen to have on staff who could be eligible for teachers' licenses, so we'll be able to fund their training, we'll be able to cover the costs of the exams for them. For students who've graduated from Chelsea High School, we are hoping to offer perhaps loan write-downs if they are committing to come work for our schools, which offers that great continuum from student to teacher, and also to try to get fellows from many of the wonderful universities in this area who can come and work side by side with our professional staff and hopefully, dig in those roots to come back and work for Chelsea when they graduate from their program. So we are super excited. We are expected to spend this money in hopefully a 12-month period. So it really is a big number to make an important movement in this area.
Thank you. Can we roll call?
Yes.
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 Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez? Yes. Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Ms. Henrique moves to accept up to $150,000 from the Department of Public Health for the Comprehensive School Health Services grant to enhance school health services available to Chelsea students. Explanation. The Department of Public Health's Competitive Comprehensive School Health Services program is intended to provide support to enhance baseline school health services. The grant funds will be used for staff salaries, one-time nurse case manager to coordinate care for students with high health needs, and 1 part-time outreach worker to focus on substance use prevention and intervention at the middle school. Fringe benefits and equipment, purchase of SNAP software license and implementation, and other expenses in support of the program up to a maximum of $150,000. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A, provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Before we take a roll call, you want to, Monica?
New resource to us, again, a competitive process. Marie Washington, our nurse manager, applied for this grant, $150,000 this year. We do believe it's going to become a multi-year grant. It will allow us, our school nurses are working super hard all day for the thousands of students that are in our schools and are coming through their doors. This is going to allow us to add another resource to our nursing program, a nurse case manager, to really focus on our most medically fragile students, to be able to do the contact with the healthcare professionals, with their parents, with their teachers, with the school nurse where they are, to really meet the unique needs of those students. The case manager is also going to help when our students are out on an extended placement in a hospital. when they are reintegrating back into our schools is a really difficult period for them. So this new case manager is going to work with our social workers to help make that transition back into the classroom much easier. We're also going to be able to fund a half-time outreach worker at the middle school to focus on substance use, both from an educational preventative lens, but also from an intervention lens to be able to work with our students and their families also in this important area. And we're also going to get software for our medical records that is going to be much more nimble than what they've been working with thus far. So we'll be able to look at trends and to do the reporting much more easily, all funded through this grant program.
Thank you, Monica. Roll call.
On the motion to accept up to $150,000 from the Department of Public Health for the Comprehensive School Health Services Grant to enhance school health services available to Chelsea students. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Ms. Enriquez moves to accept $54,197 from MGH Community Health Associates to create a second mental health consultation office at Chelsea High School by dividing the existing space in half. Explanation. The MGH Community Health Associates has received a grant from the U.S. Health Resources and Services Administration Bureau of Primary Care School-Based Health Center Capital Program to create a second mental health consultation office at Chelsea High School by dividing the existing space in half. Since the building is publicly owned, it is subject to Massachusetts state procurement laws, so MGH has asked CPS staff to perform the work. The grant funds will be used for architectural design, demolition, construction, and other related costs. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
On the motion to accept $54,197 from MGH Community Health Associates to create a second mental health consultation office at Chelsea High School by dividing the existing space in half. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, on to the next. Ms. Enrique moves to approve a budget transfer in the amount of $470,000 to move funds from the following accounts. Early Learning Center, $100,000. Berkowitz Elementary School, $60,000. Kelly Elementary School, $70,000. Sokolowski Elementary School, $140,000. Chelsea High School, $100,000, for a total of $470,000. And move funds to the following various accounts. Facilities Management and Transportation, $270,000. Special Education and Pupil Personnel Services, $200,000. Total $470,000. Explanation, the funds are available predominantly from salary accounts where staff were hired at a lower rate than was budgeted for 1 year ago, and where positions have been vacant for periods of time during the school year. Funding is being transferred to facilities, maintenance, and transportation for special education transportation, facilities, maintenance expenses, and overtime costs, and to the special education and pupil personnel services for out-of-district tuition and other contractual expenses. Roll call.
On the motion to approve a budget transfer in the amount of $470,000, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
On to the next. Consideration and action to approve the updated restraint policy. Explanation. The district's physical restraint policy was updated with the language of pursuant to 603 CMR 46.03, medication restraint, mechanical restraint, prone restraint, unless permitted by 603 CMR 46.03, seclusion in the use of physical restraint and consistent with 603 CMR 46.00 are strictly prohibited. This change was made to be in compliance with state regulations. Roll call?
On the motion to approve the updated restraint policy, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay. On to the next. Consideration and to accept the 2019-2020 parent and student handbook changes for each of the 10 schools. Explanation: the value and behavior policy statements were updated to reflect the district's current practice. According to Massachusetts general laws, parent and student handbooks must be approved by the school committee prior to the start of the school year. Roll call.
On the motion to accept the 2019-2020 parent and student handbook changes for each of the 10 schools, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Next. Ms. Garcia moves to approve the resolution in support of increased funding for Massachusetts public schools through the Promise Act. You want to take a roll call?
Can I,
Do you want,
Mr. Chairman?
would you
can
like
I
to
do
do?
that?
Sure. Kelly, good.
Thank you. All right, so you can find this in enclosure U, is it? So, resolution in support of increased funding for Massachusetts public schools through the Promise Act. Whereas free public schools available to all students without exception are foundational to our democracy and are required by state constitution. And whereas all of our students, no matter where they live, deserve high-quality public schools that teach the whole child and provide them with a well-rounded school experience that addresses their academic and social and emotional needs. And whereas the state's foundation budget formula, which determines state aid to each district, has been woefully out of date for years, thereby underfunding our districts by more than $1 billion a year for essential educational services. And whereas the Promise Act, Senate Bill 238, would phase in an updated foundation budget formula, bringing Chelsea an estimated $20.7 million in additional state aid. And whereas the legislature failed to pass any foundation budget legislation in the last session, leaving districts, educators, and students without the funds necessary to support the schools our students deserve. Therefore, be it resolved that the school committee urges the legislator to approve the Promise Act this spring. In witness whereof, we, the members of the Chelsea School Committee, have hereunto set our hands this day, the 2nd day of May, 2019.
Do we take a roll call?
On the motion to approve the resolution in support of increased funding for the Massachusetts public schools through the Promise Act, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato? Yes. That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
I just want to announce, we need to sign the resolution before we all leave tonight.
Great.
All right? So,
Thank you.
consideration and action to accept the recommendation of superintendent to approve a field trip to Greensboro, North Carolina for 1 student, 2 chaperones, and 1 parent from June 13th through June 16th, 2019. Explanation: a Chelsea High School student athlete has the opportunity to compete in the outdoor nationals for track and field taking place in North Carolina in June. Out-of-state field trips must be approved by the school committee. Just a-
Do you want?
yeah, we'll just do a roll call for all of them. So,
On the motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a field trip to Greensboro, North Carolina for 1 student, 2 chaperones, and 1 parent from June 13th to 16th, 2019. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato? Yes. That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, Ms. Hernandez recommends the appointment of Ms. Sarah Kent as Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning. Explanation, as contracts for assistant superintendents come up for renewal, we are moving the Assistant Superintendent formally for appointed to correct a procedural error in the past. Roll call.
On the motion to appoint Ms. Sarah Kent as Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Ms. Hernandez recommends the acceptance of the 2019-2022 contract for the Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Sarah Kent. Explanation, Ms. Kent is a contract employee and a contract has come up for renewal. Roll call.
On the motion to accept the 2019-2022 contract for Assistant Superintendent Sarah Kent, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Okay, next. Ms. Hernandez recommends the acceptance of the superintendent's 240-day transition plan. Explanation, the intention of the transition plan is to provide the school committee and the Chelsea community with an outline of how Dr. Book will support the new superintendent. This is meant to be a guidance document for transition.
Mr. Chairman, if I could speak on that?
Go ahead, sure.
It is a part of your attachments. You can certainly go through it and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. It is a guidance document. I'm sure there will be things that will pop up that we'll have to add to, or maybe pop up that we have to delete. But my intention is to make sure that the time that I have with the new superintendent is purposeful, so that on December 31st I can confidently transition the leadership to the new superintendent, and that the new superintendent can confidently receive that baton. So.
We can take a roll call.
On the motion to accept the superintendent's 240-day transition plan, Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes.
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
Ms. Hernandez moves that the school committee authorizes the superintendent to appoint individuals to positions of supervisor of attendance, physician, nurse, librarian, and school psychologist. Such appointments shall not be subject to the approval of the school committee. Per school committee request, resumes of those hired for these positions will be sent to the school committee post-hire. Explanation, see communication from Rebecca Bryant.
Mr. Chairman, if I could talk on that?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So there is a communication in the back from Rebecca Bryant from Stoneman and Chandler. She is our outside legal counsel. It is enclosure Y. And basically, she reiterates much of what we talked about in November, that when 1993 ed reform came into place and the legislature gave to the Office of the Superintendent the hiring rights of all personnel. These were a few positions that actually didn't get through the whole editing process, is what the theory behind many of the experts in this area. So you would be doing nothing more than giving to the Office of the Superintendent, delegating to us the same authority and hiring procedures that we use for teachers, paraprofessionals, clerks, every other position in the school department, except for those that are listed in Ms. Bryant's, such as you do have approval for special education director, you have approval for assistant superintendent, which you used this evening. You also have approval rights for the business manager. And so those still are with you. When it comes to the attendance officer, the physician, the nurse. Right now, we are looking for a librarian, we're looking for 3 psychologists. It will be very burdensome to have to call you for a full meeting and make sure we have a quorum every single time we want to offer a contract to somebody. And the delay, will actually will lose when we're trying to compete for staff with other districts. So that's the difficulty.
Point of information?
Mm-hmm.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Yes, so this request, does this keep us in the state requirement? So they're requiring that we can do this, right?
Absolutely. Actually, many districts have already done this and have been doing it for years. We just never knew of the wording and the gap, and so we're trying to clean it up now. I'm actually trying to clean things up for the next superintendent.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? No, you can take over.
To appoint individuals to positions of supervisor of attendance, physician, nurse, librarian, and school psychologist. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Moronsky?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. DePato?
Yes?
That's 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
I guess I'm finally done. Okay, we're going to next for communications. UMass Boston Collins Center, presentations of finalists from Superintendent Search Screening Committee. I believe you already went over that, right?
Yeah, I think you can make a motion to accept the communication.
Would someone like to make a motion to accept the communication? Okay, the communications, okay. All right. We have any announcements? Rosemary Carlisle?
To have a moment of silence. This past month, we lost a lovely lady, Miriam Siegel, who is Jay Siegel at the high school's mom, and a dear friend of all of us, former school committee, Maury Siegel. It was his wife for many years, and I would like to have a moment of silence for Miriam.
Ms. Kelly Garcia, you had your hand up?
I just want to apologize for arriving late. Today we had our parent-teacher conferences, so we had a lot of parents and guardians come to school and ask really great questions. One announcement I have is please join us on May 16th. We will be joining forces with Fund Our Future at the State House, where we will be continuing to advocate for more funding. It's working. We got to keep the momentum up and continue to visit our legislators up at the State House. May 16th. Thank you.
Anybody else want an announcement? I have one announcement. Just wishing Councilor Leo Robinson quick health recovery from his knee surgery. Leo had a knee replacement, so hopefully he gets well quick. If there's no other announcements, what?
Moronsky, it's your last night as the chairperson of the Chelsea School Committee. I want to thank you for your dedication. All your concerns were for the benefit for the teachers and for the students in the city of Chelsea, and I want to thank you very much for your dedication to all of them.
Thank you. Is anybody else? Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah, you got a motion.
Meeting is over.
Oh, you seconded. Good boy.